Hello, everybody. This is Laura Alameri, and I wanted to do a short video on tips on locating sellers, but even more important, how to engage with sellers. And I know there is a lot of confusions, and there seems to be a lot of issues lately to really connect with potential leads. And I was giving some thought to this, and I want to share with you what my thoughts are. As a lot of you know, I've been in the business a long, long time, over 30 years. I started before all the technology came about. I started, when there was still really a personal connections with people, potential sellers was so important that honestly was the only way to really get business. And so I'm giving a little bit of thought here about what is going on in the industry, because the thing is, there are sellers out there. There are properties. People are still going through distress situations. Yes, I know 10 years ago was much more. A lot of people were losing their home to foreclosure and so forth. But still, there is a lot of distress situations. We're going through times where the economy is changing again. It's cooling off as far as real estate is concerned. That means, though, that there are even more potential leads and sellers. Or the sellers that had the property for sale for a while, and now the prices are changing, the economy is changing, they have to come to grips with reality of what is going on in the business. So with that said, my thoughts are this. First of all, is a people's business, okay? Real estate is a people business. And relying too heavily on just the technology or automations to the fact that it takes away the contact with the potential leads is actually working against you. Yes, it's more time consuming, but again, you don't have to get a lot of leads to get good leads if you take the time to really, what they used to call back in the days, farm your leads. So you need to kind of use a combination of technology to make your life easier. I'm all for that, to make your job easier. But don't forget that this is a people business and you actually have to connect with the sellers. So I was reading an article that actually was talking, actually it was about more luxury real estate, but it was talking about going back to the basics and going back to really taking the time to connect. And so thinking back when I started in the business, I didn't know anybody, right? I had come from another country. I was actually in Hawaii. I didn't know anybody. And so I had to generate my leads from scratch. And as a real estate agent, I started generating my leads really attending and hosting open houses. And at the open houses, I would actually connect with people. I would walk different neighborhoods. So when I had an open house or I had a listing, when I started getting a listing, then I would actually walk in the neighborhood. And in the beginning, when I didn't have my own listing, I would sit somebody else's open house, another agent, because that would give me exposure and talk to people. For the same token that right now, as a real estate mentor, I have live events. I do retreats because the face-to-face contact, there is no substitute for that. So as a real estate investor, it's the same thing. And so when I go back and think what I was doing 25, 30 years ago as a real estate investor, when I transitioned from being an agent to an investor, I kept the same type of approach where I was actually connecting with people. You start with leads, right? You go out there and probably focus on a neighborhood, focus on an area, which is what I recommend. Choose 2 or 3 zip codes, choose those zip codes, and then go to what they used to call farming, which is really going out on those zip codes. So nowadays we call that driving for dollars. And when you drive for dollars, when you go out there and farm those neighborhoods, get out of your car. You know, if you see vacant properties, get out. Take the time to talk to people. Get the time to really connect with people. You know, and if you and I'm not saying that you should knock on the door. I'm not the type of person either. But maybe getting out of the car and, you know, walking up and down the street, talking to the neighbors, or even standing in front of the property if it's occupied. Maybe somebody will come out. It goes a long way. And back when I was doing the business, like I said, 20, 30 years ago, that was one of my main strategies, to really go out there and meet people face to face. And the best way to do that is driving for dollars, is to go out to these neighborhoods, farm these neighborhoods, talk to people, get your presence known, okay? Maybe leave a note on the door with people to let them know that you are actually there, you know, a handwritten note instead of just one of those door hangers. That's something that I've used a lot doing short sales, where people that were going to foreclosure in a week or two, and therefore I didn't have time to really send out letters and all of that. So I would just go to the houses and leave notes, and people would call me, handwritten notes. So that type of personal involvement and engagement will go a long way. So that's one thing you will do. So you can still start with your list of pre-foreclosures, your list of properties that are tax delinquent, vacant property, absentee owners. You can still start with that you get from the online technology. But add a layer of actually being there in person and trying to connect to as many people as you can. Now, you know, when you start having properties, again, you know, maybe host an open house. You know, host is something that is get people to come and see you. That's how you're going to build your buyer list. This is where you're going to get our investors. Years ago, I used to do what I call the robbing type auctions, which is an open house for investors, where you basically put a house out there under an auction type system. Okay, and that was really successful in connecting with our investor, in connecting with potential buyer, and connecting with our investors that were looking to buy in the area. So you might want to look up the Robin type auction for real estate to see what it's about. But it's really just a way for you to be out there and talk to people. Obviously, going to networking events, going to open houses, hosting Robin auctions or open houses yourself, and really, you know, posting things out there, but again, make it personable. And even if you do your marketing, direct marketing, one of the things that is, I always say, you know, what is in for them, right? Why would they call you opposed to another investor? Well, what are you going to offer different to them? You know, maybe offer an incentive to call you. Say that you will give them money for the property, regardless of condition and equity. Because once you establish that connection with them, you actually get to meet these people face to face, then you can work things out, you know. You just want to get the foot in the door. You just want to get where you actually talk to them, either in person or on the phone or via Skype. But, you know, that face-to-face connection, it goes a long way. And so with that said, use the technology to get you the leads, to get you the first feeling of what properties are out there that are going through some type of distress. Like I said, you know, pre-foreclosures, probate, tax delinquent, absentee, vacant properties, aging homeowners, elderly, and so forth. Then use this as a platform to establish a more one-on-one connection. Maybe go to those neighborhoods where you pull the list and go to those properties first. By the same token, use that as your starting point to connect with more people. And then as you start getting properties in the neighborhood, maybe host some type of open house or some type of auction where you get people in the door from the neighborhood, but also other prospects, potential sellers and buyers. You know, put your ads out there in social media. Now you use the technology to get people there. But see how I'm explaining this, to take a different approach. Use the technology, use the online together with the personal factor. And I assure you that you're going to see a tremendous shift. If you've been having problems just using online things, if you're probably just texting and calling and texting and calling, you're not getting the leads. By adding this, I'm sure you will see a shift in the business for the positive. So I hope this helped you. And so I want you to really sit down and think about what I said and do comment on this post. You know, if you have any ideas or you have any questions that you would like us to address about what we mean exactly. But most important is like take in consideration what is going on here, right? The online, the technology is here to stay, but how can we just leverage that in a better way and without forgetting that this is a people's business. Thanks again. Hopefully this helped you to move things in a different direction. Do post any comments and questions and check my website at lauralamary.com. And I hope to talk to you soon. Have a good day.